Remaining inward, we'll practice our affirmation for self-healing for this week. This is from the teachings of Yogananda ji, shared by Swamiji. And this week is on immortality. We'll listen to these words and then we'll practice the affirmation together. You are not your body. You are not your thoughts, your desires, your changing personality. Your body has a certain age, but you yourself have no age. Your body may tire or become unwell, but you yourself, the fatigueless soul, cannot tire, can never know dis-ease. Tell yourself always, I am a child of eternity. Don't be identified with your outward form, nor with change, but live in timelessness. It is our identity with change that creates the illusion of passing time. Feel that through all outward changes, you, the immortal soul, remain the same. Death itself will be but one more change. Be not identified with it. Then when death comes, you shall rise in eternal freedom. The affirmation, first we'll say it loudly to awaken our conscious mind, bring it into focus. You can repeat aloud after me. I am a child of eternity.
I am a child of eternity.
I am ageless.
I am ageless.
I am deathless.
I am deathless.
I am the changeless spirit.
I am the changeless spirit.
At the heart of all mutation.
The change of all mutation.
And now in a bit softer speaking voice, we'll go into a deeper state of awareness. I am a child of eternity.
I am a child of eternity.
I am ageless.
I am ageless.
I am deathless.
I am deathless.
I am the changeless spirit.
I am the changeless spirit.
At the heart of all mutation.
At the heart of all mutation.
Now in a whisper, let's bring this into the subconscious, changing all habit thoughts. I am a child of eternity.
I am a child of eternity.
I am ageless. I am deathless. I am the changeless spirit.
Changeless.
At the heart of all mutation. Let's practice it now silently, bringing it to the superconscious state of being at the point between the eyebrows. I am a child of eternity. I am ageless. I am deathless. I am the changeless spirit at the heart of all mutation. And now we'll feel this prayer as I read aloud, each word in your heart. Wherever my body travels outwardly, let me feel thy changeless presence within. Wherever my thoughts take me, let them return always, like prodigal children, to find repose in thee. Thank you everyone for being with us today. We're already at week 49 in our book, Rays of the One Light. This is the weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita. And this topic is called, What is it to fail spiritually? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. The first passage is from the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 25. Jesus tells the parable of the 10 virgins, 5 of them wise and 5 foolish. They await their bridegroom, the Christ consciousness. The wise virgins keep the oil in their lamps, symbolic of their devotion, lit through the night. The foolish virgins place no oil in their lamps. These foolish ones are like the average devotee, going through the motions of outer ritual, but keeping no fire of love burning in the heart. When the bridegroom's coming is announced, the foolish virgins realize their mistake and hasten out to purchase oil. During their absence, the Christ consciousness comes and embraces those who have been awaiting him with devotion. The foolish ones, by their lackluster devotion, are not accepted by him. Watch, therefore, Jesus told his listeners, for you know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. In Autobiography of a Yogi, Paramhansa Yogananda describes the foolish virgin consciousness he encountered in the Mahamdal hermitage he stayed in as a young man in Benares. I was pleased, he wrote, that my new home possessed an attic where I managed to spend the dawn and morning hours. The ashram members, knowing little of meditation practices, thought I should employ my whole time in organizational duties. They gave me praise for my afternoon work in their office. Don't try to catch God so soon. This ridicule accompanied one of my early departures toward the attic. Later, during meditation, I felt lifted as though bodily to a sphere uncircumscribed. Thy master cometh today. A divine womanly voice came from everywhere and nowhere. This supernal experience was pierced by a shout from a definite locale. A young priest, nicknamed Habu, was calling me from the downstairs kitchen. Mukunda, enough of meditation. You are needed for an errand. The Divine Mother's words were not spoken for the benefit of that priest, the foolish virgin, but for Mukunda, the wise virgin. For this was the day his guru, Swami Kriyananda, came to him. Grieve not, friends, if you feel that you have been foolish. No error is forever. Someday, if you keep your lamp lit now, your opportunity will come. In the Bhagavad Gita, the 6th chapter, Krishna promises every devotee, Arjuna, none who works for self-redemption will ever meet an evil destiny. Spiritual failure, though a deep disappointment, is always temporary. Eternal hellfire is but a projection of vindictiveness in the human mind. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, sorry.
I think it's an interesting one, isn't it? It's what is it to fail spiritually? And I think it's a journey that we've all been on, and grossly, and then in different ways. Each day we face the challenges failing spiritually. And even as these words were read, they'll each be taken differently depending on where you're at on your journey. And so will the words today be in that way. So it's kind of an interesting thing. So I thought I'd start today with Yogananda, our great Guruji, his final advice to the monks. And this is from Conversations with Yogananda by Swami Kriyananda. The following words were among the last advice he, Paramhansa Yogananda, gave to the monks. No one can give you the desire for God. You must cultivate that desire in yourself. God himself couldn't give it to you. Well, he created human beings. He didn't make them puppets. You must desire him yourself. Be wary of developing too keen an intelligence. Many people use their powers of reasoning cleverly to justify their delusion. Concentrate more instead on developing heart qualities. Devote as much time as you can daily to meditation, to actually experiencing God. Don't sleep too much. Sleep is the unconscious way of contacting God. Sleep is counterfeit ecstasy. Don't joke too much. I myself, as you know, like a good laugh. But if I can make up my mind to be serious, no one can make me even smile. Be happy and cheerful, above all, inwardly. Be outwardly grave, but inwardly cheerful. Don't waste the perception of God's presence acquired in meditation by useless chatting. Idle words are like bullets. They riddle the milk pail of peace. In devoting time unnecessarily to conversation and exuberant laughter, you'll find you have nothing left inside. Fill the pail of your consciousness with the milk of meditative peace. Then keep it filled. Joke is a false happiness. Too much laughter riddles the mind and lets the peace in the bucket overflow. And it goes on. It talks about these things. And the reason why this is really powerful and really amazing is that really, in a great sense, it's almost contradictory, isn't it? You know, Ananda in this world, or in this realism, talks about building community and we have this image of building community and being surrounded by devotees. And then when you look at what Ananda has to offer, it's got these amazing things. You can be filled with every minute of the day listening to talks.
Content.
And content, absolutely. And Yogananda said, if you read 1 hour, write 2 hours, but meditate all the time. That was one of his advice that he gave to his devotees. And you think we're surrounded constantly with all this content and these things. So I want to take you on a bit of a journey. And it's one of the words that that Swami actually gave to a lot of people that came to him and said, oh, I feel like I'm out of attunement. And one of the first things he would say was, how out of attune? And it's kind of an interesting thing when you put that into perspective. How out of tune are we? Am I going to take a journey of attunement and attuning? And then the other thing that he said with most things, and this is the bit that we all need to hold on to, we don't fester in the past. We're always moving forward. We don't hold on to what we haven't done. We move forward always. And Swami said this to many a devotee. You know, it doesn't matter. It's just karma. It will pass. But it's how we respond to that karma that keeps us moving forward. So every time we have a challenge, or every time, and we're all doing it, from a micro perspective to a huge perspective, we're on this journey, this radio channel of journey. And so I thought today we could address the subtleties of this attuning. And so I want to imagine all of us well, not yet. We've got our beautiful car that gets us from A to B on our journey of life. And we've now been given a path. We've been given a radio that sits on top of our dashboard in our car. And the secret to that radio is the path of Kriya Yoga by our line of gurus. So that's the essence of this radio station. Now, this radio station's old school, though. It's got this little dial. And I don't know if anyone remembers the radio stations with the dial. When you were driving a car, sometimes just going over bumps, all of a sudden the crackles would go, and then you'd have to dial back into that radio station to hear the crispness and the clarity behind that all. And so us attuning to the path of Kriya at yoga is attuning to that dial. So we've got this nice new car. We've got all the comforts of this car. And we've got this amazing path of Kriya Yoga that gets us on this path, and it helps us attune and keep in tune that radio station. But we've now got all these amazing things that Ananda has to offer. We've got music, we've got chants, we've got all these things that help us understand or make us feel better. And so we could be in that car and putting on a talk or listening to a radio station or doing a new course or doing something that obviously we feel helps us attune. But as we're bouncing along, listening to that talk, what happens to the radio station? And every now and again, we might go, oh, what's that background noise? What's that background noise? Oh, that's right. I've got to fine tune that radio station back in to hear the clarity of what's going on. And then we surround ourselves with beautiful people. We think, oh no, I'm going to pick up some fellow devotees that like tuning to Radio Ananda. And we open the door and they jump in. And then guess what we start doing? We start listening to talks and we start chatting about those talks and trying to make the most sense out of what's going on. Next thing you know, that radio station, because we're too busy doing those talks and chatting, starts going out of tune until one of us start going, hold on, we're not quite there yet. What's that background noise? And so we start tuning back in. The best part about it is we're full of devotees that can help hear that background noise and bring us back together. But if we're too busy doing all those things, that starts going out of whack. And of course, on that journey, when we're not surrounded by devotees, can you imagine all the distractions that we have in life? We start listening, or the view comes into play, or we have our loud mates that come on board. And the more we start getting distracted with the outside of it, the harder it is to lose that attunement as we're going along the bumpy road of our life, and we start pulling it back in. So what does it all mean? What is Yogananda telling us about this radio station? He's saying, if we take all these things away, what is actually left? Why did he say group meditation is important? Why did he say community living is important? If we can't do all those chatters, it sounds contradictory. But what's left when we take all that away is energy and sharing in that energy. Could you imagine a group of devotees sitting in that car bouncing along, but all meditating, trying to attune to that same channel? As soon as it starts going out of whack, someone can reach forward and bring it back into play. But it takes that group silence, that group inwardness to be there, rather than chasing a next course, a next thing. Those path of Kriya Yoga on an Ananda path helps us attune to that radio station. It's the lessons in meditation taught by Ananda. It's the Raja Yoga course taught by Ananda and Swami and this line of gurus. It is that attunement that is constantly helping us bring back. That is the tools that Yogananda gave us to stay in tune with the radio that's been given to us. And the best part about it is we, as a group collectively, if you think of all the things that Ananda does, the most important thing is group meditation, joining together in meditation. Even if we do meditate singularly, it's about attuning to the same radio station that we're all attuning to and feeling that vibration around the world and expanding on these amazing opportunities. So I guess one of the great lessons within this is we can fall into the trap of, yes, there's lots of big picture things that can distract us away from this path of finding God. We can always come back. So if you look at the lamp, we didn't let go of the lamp. The five didn't let go of the lamp. They just let go of the oil. And so wherever we are, we all have an opportunity to keep refilling the oil to keep the lamp burning. And one lesson out of this week is this spiritual procrastination. We do it in life. It's such an interesting thing. And I want to share with you, we went to a pediatrician appointment and it was over an hour. And this person was an expert in their field, and it was particularly to do with neurodivergent children and the way they do things. But one thing really stood out to me. This pediatrician said to us, nobody needs stimulation. Nobody needs stimulation. And yet we're always seeking it, aren't we? You know, in the neurodivergent world, it's fidget spinners and all these kind of things. They were never designed for stimulation. They were actually designed to get rid of energy so that you could get rid of that stimulation. They weren't designed to be doing it for hours. They were designed to do it for a purpose. We don't need stimulation. We don't need to be stimulated all the time. And we can fall into the habit of spiritual procrastination. It's so easy to pick up a book and be inspired. It's so easy to tune into a talk and be inspired. It's so easy to put energy down to do a course. But these are all wonderful things after we've done the hard yards, after we've sat and we've put all our energy into being silent and hearing the words of God and Guru through that silence, attuning to that radio station of joy, of peace, of love. They're all wonderful inspirations, but we have to balance it out. And that's what Yogananda, his words were those things. And there's such wonderful words to take into this world. How often before we sit to meditate do we start thinking of jobs that we can get done before we sit to meditate? Well, I'll meditate much better if I just vacuum the house, or I'll meditate much better if this place is clean, or I'll meditate much better if I just get this out the road. And before you know it, instead of having an hour, you've got 5 minutes. Or I'll just listen to a talk. I know it's good. It's from Ananda. It's got to be on this path. But it's called spiritual procrastination. And this is what Yogananda is talking about when he's saying we can develop these things. But the most important part is the sitting still, the doing. And an analogy of that is all things, sport, music, we all can read books on these things. We can all be coached by coaches. But who makes the effort? We have to put the effort in. We have to be the ones that take that first step or practice our scales. Nobody can do that for us. Our coach can't do that for us. The books can't do that for us. We have to become doers on this path. It is a doing path. We have to be the doers. We can get motivation, but we need to be a doer. We need to be the doer. We need to meditate twice daily. We need to be attuned to that radio station and be silent to be attuned to that radio station at all times. And the best part about it is we have the instructions. We have the path of Kriya Yoga to attune to these great masters. And we can do it together. There is no falling. We're helping each other along this path. Over to you.
That was really helpful, Nara. Thank you. One of the things that came to my mind is how many beautiful examples of the three gunas you're expressing, and what does it mean to fail spiritually? I mean, the essence of the affirmation was the little self fails, but the soul is perfect. So essentially what we want to do is to live more in the soul. And the soul is connected to the light. It is connected to spirit and joy and wisdom. And so essentially what we're trying to do throughout the day is know if we're in the little self or the greater self. So the little s or the capital S, which you see when people write self-realization, that means the soul that is perfectly united in spirit. So it receives the capital because it's connected to God's consciousness and its purity. And especially this time of year, there's essentially a lot of what we get to tune into is the Christ consciousness, the light. It is a time of great spiritual blessings. And really encourage you all to think of some part of yourself that you feel you'd like to have purified by Christ. And during this sacred time, as we tune into that consciousness, to feel that that light is going to be strengthened completely, and even have that powerful faith, knowing that Christ will take that. So just pick something that you want to take into this time as we approach closer and closer to the day that we celebrate as Christ's consciousness's birth on earth, which again, our path has beautiful stories of the symbolism explained behind the passed down passages from the Bible, the events that have occurred that are just so helpfully explained. Especially Asha's got many talks on this. If you do need to have a talk, try to find one that will help you tune into that symbolism so you can go deeper in meditation. And we also want to think about the words of Sister Gyanamata, which really help us understand you're not responsible for the first thought that pops into your mind, because that has to do with the radio station being a bit off. You're responsible for the one that comes after. So sometimes when we're just open and receptive as a part of being connected to all beings, there will be a thought that just kind of comes into your station, your mental mind station, and you'll catch it, right? So you're responsible for what you do with that awareness. And that's when you can bring your higher self into the next thought that comes after. And so when you're looking at what you might want to focus on, offering to Christ this time of holy, uplifted energy throughout the planet, if we tune into that light and offer those thoughts that, maybe there's a pattern of thinking, or maybe you start to notice a negative belief that you want to just, you see it coming up as you become more and more aware, and you become responsible for that thought that comes after, and you use it to offer something up to be perfected in the light. There's been so many people that throughout their years on the path say, I don't even recognize myself anymore. Along the way, you don't really see the changes that are happening, but over time, there's huge shifts in consciousness that come from tuning into the Guru or tuning into spirit. And it's incredible, the blessings of self-realization that can affect your consciousness that then you share with others. And so every time that we heal a part of this being, that we're, as Swamiji said, the event for which we are responsible. So we have a responsibility for the consciousness that is in this temple. And when we heal a little part of that consciousness, it actually ripples and affects everybody. And that's why great masters, yoga masters such as Yogananda, but also Christ or Krishna, or Buddha, it's their light that has been purified to the place where then it becomes passed on, so that ever after we can be inspired by that and we can tune into that. And Swamiji, I think, it's just worth mentioning, but every year there's a tradition of doing the longer meditations. And so at all of the Anandas, of course, and surely all the places of Yogananda, any spiritual background or organization, it's a tradition to spend one day inward in that stillness, feeling the Christ consciousness and attuning to it. They called it the spiritual Christmas. And then separate to that, having a little social Christmas. And from that place, there was a year where Swamiji felt Divine Mother's words come through him. And it really just kind of described what Nara was focused on in his talk today. And Divine Mother said through Swamiji, it's beautiful, the communities that you're creating and living in, but you need to focus on communion with me. So community is a form of communion in God with a group. It's that self-realization fellowship. But the way in which we do that really is about still the journey, the inward journey, but having others that are attuned to it as well. One of the things that I really enjoy is just watching. I was sharing this with some of the board, I think last time we were all together, we were talking about the pilgrimage to Ananda village. I think it's next year. And they were a little, talking about, well, I'm so inward and what would it be like? And I said, imagine a group of people who are all inward. They're all yogis and they don't, really want to be like joking around or having too many like surface chats. It's like you go into this big room, it's a temple, and it's filled with yogis who are inward. And it's a silence and it's a chant, you're doing the music together and then you're sitting in silence together and then there's an inspirational talk and then everyone meditates together. And then, there's a bit of social throughout that time together, but essentially it's a bunch of yogis who are searching for God, who just are using that group magnetism to be more attuned. But the magnetism comes from being attuned to master and sharing the power of that magnetism in our devotion and love for God. It uplifts us all. So it's coming together in silence. It's coming together in God's love and God's joy. And then from that place, it's a powerful energy together. And when we're in that temple of light, this is about the shape of it. You can see it's a room full of people that's like at this level. And then look at how it's like a pyramid in a way, but it comes up and it's focused at the top. And that creates a powerful light that then is shooting up into the universe. And there was an incredible story that I just feel really exemplifies this, that has to do with when Swamiji passed. And in Assisi, where there's the Ananda community there, Assisi, Italy, which many of you know is connected to St. Francis, and happens to also be where they were able to start their Italy, Europe community with devotees from all over different countries that live there. And Swamiji would go there every year and spend time to give the devotees their energy, but ended up leaving the body there. And the day that he left the body, the town where this little community is there's a bunch of farms all around it, and farmers, like Italian farmers. And the people that were on staff that day who got a phone call answered and heard on the other end one of the neighbors, a local farmer, and he said, "What are you all doing over there?" And they said, "Oh, we're just gathering the person who founded our retreat center here has passed away. He's Swami Kriyananda, he's left us." And the farmer said, "Well, I'm looking out and all I can see is this huge beam of light coming out of your temple." And this is a person who wasn't spiritually inclined or had come even to really visit, but he was just an observer. Kind of reminds you of the story of Jesus. Their township could see the light where the consciousness was. And it's a bit similar in the sense that gathering of light, the body of Swamiji was in the temple and all the devotees were there in their devotion, and the amount of light in the room was so powerful that others could feel it, could sense it, could see it. And so that's the goal when we really do come together in spirit, is to be a channel for light, to be strengthened on the planet, to continue to evolve as a collective of humanity, which is the goal of Kriya, is peace and harmony on earth. So what better way to spend our holy days, our holidays, as we come into Christmas, than in more and more deeper silence and communion with God, with each other, like now, feeling all of you, each of your souls, so much light, so much joy, and so much, love for God, like that brings you here each week. And it's beautiful. And sharing in that when we have these moments of meditation is a gift. And I think many of us have been sharing how special these morning meditations have been the last few weeks. And I think it's that we're tuning into that energy on this planet now. So let's continue to do that and take it deeper and deeper. And next Saturday is when we'll have our longer meditation, and we'll send out a bit more this week, but we'd love to have each of you there to join us in that spirit and to really practice this lesson as we go into this week, so we can attune to that and really to be free. We don't want to keep coming back and making the same mistakes from the ego and the events for which we're responsible for. We just are ready to be free. So thank you all for this beautiful time together. And we have a little song for you to meditate on today's topic and to go a little bit deeper into this energy today. So we'll go ahead and share that screen and listen to some music.
Okay.
Most High, our Heavenly Father, all our lives we dedicate to Thee. All our labors, all our joys and woes, all our pleasure, all our melody. Make us each a channel of Thy peace. When in darkness, guide us from above. Where there's sorrow, may we sow Thy joy. Where there's hatred, may we share Thy love. Lord Most High, our Heavenly Father, all our lives we dedicate to Thee. All our labors, all our joys and woes, all our pleasure, all our melody. Make us each a channel of Thy peace. When in darkness, guide us from above. Where there's sorrow, may we sow Thy joy. Where there's hatred, may we share Thy love. Long I've called you, my Lord, long I've called you. Many years I have longed for your sight. Bathe the darkness with tears of devotion. Offered candles in prayer to your light. How much longer, friend, must I cry your name? I am yours, ever yours. Will you come? Long I've called you, my Lord, long I've called you. Many years I have longed for your sight. Bathe the darkness with tears of devotion. Offered candles in prayer to your light. How much longer, friend, must I cry your name? I am yours.
you know, it's really interesting.